20 years ago, you saw your doctor on a hospital campus or in a sleepy office park. Today, you see them next to the coffee shop and the nail salon. Healthcare has moved into retail, urgent care, dental, dialysis, physical therapy, a trend the industry calls Medtail, and it has quietly become one of the most defensive, demographically powered corners of net lease real estate. Here's the economics of owning it. Start with why this shift is happening. Patients want healthcare to be as convenient as everything else in their lives, visible, accessible, with parking out front and no hospital parking garage. Providers followed the demand, leasing space in strip centers and on retail corners. Urgent care, dental groups, dialysis, dermatology, veterinary, physical therapy, all of it is migrating into the same real estate that used to hold only shops and restaurants. Medtail spaces run anywhere from a few thousand square feet for a dental or urgent care suite up to 10,000 or more for a dialysis center. The defining feature is the build out. These tenants spend heavily to fit out their space with specialized medical infrastructure. That investment matters enormously to a landlord, and we'll come back to why. The demand behind it all is the best kind, needs-based, not discretionary. Here's the part that makes income investors comfortable. You cannot download healthcare. Amazon can ship you almost anything, but it can't set a broken arm, clean your teeth, or run a dialysis session. Medtail is about as e-commerce proof as real estate gets, and it's largely recession resistant too. People don't postpone urgent care or chronic treatment because the economy slowed down. The demand simply has to be met in person locally. And the long-term tailwind is demographics. America is aging and older people consume far more health care. At the same time, payers and providers are pushing care out of expensive hospitals into lower cost retail settings. More patients, more visits in more convenient locations. That's a structural growth story, and it lands especially hard in Florida, which has one of the largest senior populations in the country. Now, the reason landlords love medical tenants, they almost never leave. A dialysis center or a dental practice spends hundreds of thousands, sometimes over $1 million, building out its specialized space, and then it builds a local patient base around that exact address. Walking away means rebuilding both. So medical tenants renew at very high rates and stay for decades. High build out plus local patient relationships equals extraordinary tenant stickiness. For the investor, Medtail is usually structured as net lease. Whether it's a freestanding urgent care or a medical suite in a center, the tenant typically signs a long-term lease and reimburses the property's operating costs. The combination of a long lease, a sticky tenant, and net lease economics is what turns a medical building into a dependable, largely passive income stream. Medical leases commonly run 10 to 15 years with renewal options and steady escalations. The strongest credit comes from the big dialysis providers, DaVita and Fresenius, whose treatments are recurring and largely non-discretionary, making those among the most coveted medical net leases. Behind urgent care and dental, you'll often find well-capitalized corporate groups and dental support organizations that strengthen the guarantee. Pricing follows the credit and the stickiness. Dialysis centers backed by the national providers trade tightest, around 5.5 to 6.5%. Corporate-backed urgent care and dental run a bit higher. An independent single doctor practice, strong business, weaker guarantee, trades higher still. Most deals fall between $2 and $8 million, putting quality medtail within reach of private and 1031 investors alike. As always, in net lease, look hard at who actually signs. A medtail building lease to a national dialysis company or a large dental group carries a very different risk than the same building leased to a solo practitioner. The solo doctor may run a wonderful practice, but the guarantee is only as strong as that one person's business. Match the cap rate to the real credit behind the lease, and you'll rarely overpay. Few states are positioned for Medtail like Florida. It's a magnet for retirees who drive outsized demand for everything from urgent care to dialysis to orthopedics. The population keeps growing and it skews older every year. For an investor, that means the demographic wind is at your back. The very tenants who make the best medical net leases are exactly the ones expanding fastest across Central Florida. And underneath the white coats, you still own retail real estate. Medtail tenants chase the same things every retailer wants: visibility, easy access, parking, and a dense, well-off trade area. A building on a strong corner serving a growing community holds its value, and if a medical tenant ever did leave, that same location appeals to the next medical user or back to traditional retail. Good dirt keeps its options open. Putting it together, Medtail blends the defensiveness of healthcare with the simplicity of net lease. Needs-based, e-commerce proof demand, exceptionally sticky tenants, a powerful aging population tailwind, and pricing within reach of private investors. The keys are the tenant's credit, the strength of the build-out, and a location with real demographic depth. For durable, recession-resistant income, medical retail is one of the most compelling stories in net lease. Medical retail proves that the most defensive demand in the economy now lives in ordinary retail real estate. The economics reward investors who weigh tenant credit, the build out, and the demographics of the location. If you're evaluating medical, urgent care, or other net lease real estate in Central Florida, that is exactly what we do at MaxLife Commercial. The link to connect is in the description.